AITA for refusing to lend my rare book to my friend after he destroyed my last one. Even though he's calling me petty and now my trivia team hates me? I'm spiraling here, so let me break it down. I'm a 29-year-old paralegal who's secretly a massive trivia nerd. My weeknights are spent at the Rusty Quizmaster, a dingy pub in my town that hosts the best trivia nights around. The place is a vibe, think sticky tables, neon beer signs, and a jukebox that only plays 80s hair metal. My team, the Brainiac Brew Crew, is my found family. We've got a corner booth we've claimed as our throne, decorated with coasters we've doodled on over the years. We're not just there for the $50 gift card prize, we live for the bragging rights. I'm the team's literature buff, always clutch for questions about obscure books, which brings me to my obsession: rare historical fiction. I've got a collection of vintage novels that I treat like museum pieces. My crown jewel is a 1924 first edition, The Crimson Tide by Eleanor Grayson, a haunting tale of a shipwrecked crew in the 1800s. I snagged it for $300 at a flea market, and it's in near-mint condition, with this faint ink smell that makes me feel like I'm time-traveling. My team knows how much I care about my books. We've got a ritual where I bring a novel to read during breaks between rounds, and they'll tease me about being too fancy for paperbacks. Now, meet Tyler, 31, my teammate and the team's resident history nerd. Tyler's the guy who knows every U.S. president's middle name but can't remember where he parked his Toyota. He's got this loud, wheezy laugh that echoes through the pub, and he's always fidgeting with his lucky bottle cap keychain. Last year, I lent him my copy of The Gilded Compass, a 1930s adventure novel, because he said he needed it for a trivia question bank he was building. I made him swear on his keychain he'd be careful. 2 weeks later, he gave it back with the spine cracked, pages dog-eared, and what looked like barbecue sauce on the cover. I was pissed but tried to play it cool. Mostly because we had a big trivia tournament coming up and I didn't want drama. He apologized, bought me a beer, and I thought we were good. Fast forward to last Thursday. We're at the Rusty Quizmaster, downing IPAs and crushing around on Greek mythology. During a break, I pull out The Crimson Tide to read a few pages, and Tyler's eyes light up. Whoa, that's a first edition, right? Can I borrow it? I'm hosting a history-themed trivia night next month, and I want to read up. I immediately felt my stomach drop. I said, "No way, Ty. Not after what happened with The Gilded Compass." He blinked, then laughed like I told a joke. "Come on, that was one time. I'll be careful, I swear." I shook my head, gripping the book tighter. "You ruined my last one. I'm not risking this." His face fell, and he muttered, "Wow, didn't think you were so petty." The table got awkward fast. Our team captain, Marla, a 40-year-old nurse with a buzz cut and a tattoo of a stethoscope, sighed and said, "Tyler, you did mess up her book, but it's a team. We share stuff." Then Josh, our science guy who always wears mismatched socks, piped up, "It's just a book, dude. Don't be so uptight." I tried to explain, The Crimson Tide isn't just a book. It's a piece of history, and I can't replace it if Tyler turns it into a snack plate again. But Tyler wouldn't let it go. He leaned back, arms crossed, and said, "I thought we were friends. Friends don't hold grudges over stupid stuff." I snapped back, "Friends don't trash each other's stuff and expect a free pass." The tension carried into the next round, and we flubbed a question about Shakespeare because no one was focused. After trivia, Tyler posted in our group chat, Brainiac Brew Crew HQ, a meme of a cartoon librarian shushing people with the caption, "When your friend won't share her precious book." Josh reacted with a laughing emoji, and Marla sent a yikes gif. I felt ganged up on. I texted Tyler privately, saying I'd let him read it at my place if I could watch, but he called that condescending and said I clearly don't trust him. Well, yeah, I don't because of the barbecue sauce incident. Since then, the team's been cold. Marla says I'm disrupting the vibe and should just lend the book to keep the peace. Josh keeps making snarky comments about me being the book police. Even our quiet member, Priya, who usually stays out of drama, whispered during last night's trivia that I might have overreacted. Tyler's barely talking to me, and I overheard him telling Josh he might start his own trivia team. I'm gutted. The Brew Crew's been my safe space for years. We've celebrated birthdays, breakups, Even a random Tuesday when we all got matching temporary tattoos of a trivia trophy. But I can't get over the thought of the Crimson Tide coming back ruined. I'm starting to wonder if I'm the problem. Maybe I am too protective and I should have just risked the book for the sake of the team. But I also feel like Tyler's not taking responsibility for what he did. Now I'm stuck refreshing our group chat, hoping someone posts a trivia meme to lighten the mood, but it's just silence. So Reddit, AITA for refusing to lend my rare book to Tyler after he ruined my last one, even if it's messing up my trivia team? AITA for telling my sister her favorite novel was a cliché when she begged for my honest review, even though she's been giving me the silent treatment ever since? I'm still reeling from this, so let me spill the tea. I'm a 27-year-old freelance editor who's basically a walking red pen. I live for dissecting stories, finding plot holes, and geeking out over prose. My sister, Elise, 24, is the opposite. She's a hopeless romantic who cries at Hallmark movies and collects those glittery book talk editions with sprayed edges. We've always been close, bonding over late-night hot chocolate runs and our shared obsession with our local indie bookstore, the Gilded Page. It's this cozy little spot tucked in an alley with creaky wooden floors, fairy lights, and a resident tabby cat named Quill who naps on the romance section. Every month, they host a book swap bonanza where people trade books, sip overpriced lavender lattes, and argue about tropes. It's our thing. We've gone together since Elise started college. Elise has been obsessed with this novel, Moonlit Whispers, for years. It's her comfort read, the one she clutches like a security blanket whenever she's stressed. She's got 3 copies, a hardcover she annotates with pink sticky notes, a paperback for emergencies, and a special edition with a foil cover she won't even let me touch. I'd never read it, mostly because I'm more into gritty literary fiction than swoony romance. But I knew the gist. It's about a brooding duke and a plucky governess falling in love in 1800 Scotland, complete with secret letters and a dramatic rain scene. Elise talks about it nonstop, quoting lines like, "His stormy eyes held a tempest she could not tame," while I nod and try not to roll my eyes. Last Sunday, we're at the book swap bonanza, sitting cross-legged on a faded rug by the poetry shelf, surrounded by stacks of paperbacks and the hum of book nerds debating Pride and Prejudice adaptations. Elise had just traded a worn copy of The Notebook for a dog-eared Wuthering Heights and was buzzing with excitement. She pulled Moonlit Whispers out of her tote bag, her annotated hardcover, mind you, and shoved it into my hands. "You have to read this," she said, her voice all squeaky with glee. "I need your professional opinion. Be honest, okay? I can take it." Her hazel eyes were practically sparkling, and she kept twirling a strand of her curly hair around her finger, a nervous tic she's had since we were kids. I hesitated. I knew this book was her baby, but I figured, fine, she asked for honesty. I took it home, brewed a pot of Earl Grey, and dove in. I finished it in 2 days, and oof. It was every romance cliché in the book, the misunderstood bad boy with a heart of gold, the clumsy heroine who isn't like other girls, the inevitable misunderstanding that could have been solved with one conversation. The writing wasn't terrible, but the plot felt like it was copy-pasted from a Regency fanfic generator. There was even a scene where the Duke rips his shirt open in the rain to declare his love. I actually snorted out loud at that part. I knew Elise would want my thoughts, so I tried to be tactful, but I wasn't about to lie. We met up at the Gilded Page again on Wednesday, grabbing our usual corner table by the window. Quill was sprawled across a stack of cookbooks, purring loud enough to drown out the espresso machine. Elise was sipping her latte, her hands wrapped around a mug with a little heart on it, and she looked at me expectantly. "So? What did you think?" I took a deep breath, stirring my tea for way too long, and said, "Okay, don't hate me, but it's kind of a cliché. The characters are flat, the plot's predictable, and the whole shirt-ripping in the rain thing felt straight out of a soap opera." I tried to soften it, adding, I get why you like it, it's sweet. But as an editor, I'd say it's pretty formulaic." Her face crumpled like I'd just kicked a puppy. She set her mug down so hard the latte sloshed over the rim and her voice got all wobbly. "A cliché? That's what you think of my favorite book? The one I've been telling you about forever?" I tried to backtrack, saying, "You asked for my honest opinion. I'm just saying it's not my style, it's still a fun read for some people." But she wasn't having it. She snapped, "You didn't have to be so harsh. You know how much this book means to me." Before I could say anything else, she grabbed her tote, muttered, "I need some air," and stormed out, leaving her latte and Wuthering Heights behind. Quill flicked his tail like he was judging me too. Since then, it's been radio silence. Elise hasn't answered my texts, not even the gif of a cat in a teacup I sent as a peace offering. I tried calling, but it went straight to voicemail, and her cheery, "Hey, it's Elise, leave a message," just made me feel worse. My best friend, Kara, who's also a regular at the Bonanza, says Elise has been venting to her about how judgmental I am. Apparently, she told Kara I ruined the book for her, and now she can't even look at it without feeling embarrassed. Kara thinks I should have lied to spare her feelings, but Elise asked for my honest review. I even offered to buy her a new copy of Moonlit Whispers, the audiobook version, so she could listen to the Duke's dramatic lines in a sexy Scottish accent. But she just replied with a thumbs down emoji. I feel awful. The Gilded Page doesn't feel the same without her. I went to the Bonanza yesterday, and every romance novel on the shelf reminded me of her. I keep replaying what I said, wondering if I could have been gentler, but I also think she's overreacting. She wanted my professional opinion, and I gave it to her. Now I'm stuck sipping my tea alone, staring at my phone, hoping she'll at least send a meme to break the ice. So, Reddit AITA for telling my sister her favorite novel was a cliché, even if it hurt her feelings? AITA for quitting my book club because everyone kept picking boring mysteries even though they're now calling me a snob and I might have tanked our group's vibe? I'm still kinda heated about this, so let me lay it all out. I'm a 30-year-old graphic designer with a not-so-secret love for books that make you feel like you've been punched in the soul. Think sprawling fantasy epics or weird experimental lit that leaves you staring at the wall for an hour. I joined a book club called The Lit Lounge a year ago, hoping to find my people. We meet in this funky little record store turned cafe called Vinyl and Verse, a spot crammed with vintage turntables, stacks of LPs, and mismatched chairs that creak when you sit. The walls are plastered with old concert posters and there's always some lo-fi jazz playing in the background. We'd sit around a wobbly table near the window, sipping overpriced oat milk lattes, while the barista, a guy with a man bun named Theo, eavesdrops and occasionally chimes in with his hot takes. The group started out great. There's 5 of us, me, Clara, 34, a kindergarten teacher who always brings homemade cookies and talks in this sing-song voice, Ben, 28, a wannabe poet with a goatee who quotes Kerouac way too much, Maya, 31, a yoga instructor who's obsessed with true crime podcasts, and Derek, 40, a quiet accountant who's basically the group's dad, always making sure we don't forget to pick the next book. At first, we had variety. Clara picked The Secret Garden, Ben forced us to read On the Road, and I got everyone to try House of Leaves, which they hated but at least they humored me. We'd laugh, argue, and sometimes get so off topic we'd spend half the night debating whether vinyl sounds better than Spotify. But then the mysteries took over. Maya started it, picking The Girl on the Train because she just binged a podcast about unreliable narrators. Fine, I thought, it's a bestseller for a reason. But it was so predictable I called the twist by chapter 3 and the writing felt like it was trying too hard to be edgy. Next, Derek picked The Woman in the Window, another shocking thriller with a drunk narrator seeing something she shouldn't. I slogged through it, but by the end I was skimming just to finish. Then Clara chose Big Little Lies, which, okay, wasn't terrible, but it still had that same formula: small town, nosy neighbors, a dead body, and a whodunit I figured out in 20 pages. I tried to be a good sport, sipping my latte and nodding while Maya gushed about the suspense, but inside I was dying. Where was the creativity? The depth? I joined this club to expand my horizons, not to read the same airport paperback over and over. I tried to steer things back. At our last meeting before I snapped, I suggested The Name of the Wind, a fantasy epic with lush prose and a magic system that makes you want to take notes. Ben groaned, saying, "I'm not reading 600 pages of wizards." Maya laughed and said, "I need a dead body by page 10 or I'm out." Clara was nicer about it, but she still vetoed it, saying, "Let's stick with something shorter, maybe another mystery." That's when they picked The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I looked it up. Another isolated setting, another murder, another cast of unlikable rich people with secrets. I couldn't do it. I stood up, grabbed my tote bag with a faded Lord of the Rings logo on it, and said, "I'm out. I can't keep reading these boring mysteries. They're all the same and I'm not feeling inspired. I'm done." The room went silent except for the crackle of a Fleetwood Mac record in the background. Clara's jaw dropped, her cookie halfway to her mouth. Ben smirked, leaning back in his chair, and said, "Wow, didn't realize we were too lowbrow for you." Maya crossed her arms, her henna-tattooed hands flexing, and snapped, "If you're so bored, why didn't you just say something instead of being dramatic?" Derek, ever the peacemaker, tried to calm things down, saying, "Let's talk this out, maybe we can pick something else next time." but I was already over it. I mumbled a quick sorry and left, my face burning as I passed Theo, who gave me a sympathetic nod like he'd seen this coming. The fallout was instant. Our group chat, Lit Lounge Legends, lit up with messages. Maya sent a gif of a queen on a throne with the caption, "When you're too good for mysteries." Ben posted, "Guess we're not literary enough for Her Majesty, sorry, we like books that are actually fun." Clara was kinder, texting me privately, "I'm sad you left. I didn't know you hated the books so much. Can we talk?" But then she followed up in the group chat, saying, "I feel bad, but maybe we're better off without the negativity." Ouch. Derek hasn't said much, but he removed me from the chat admin role, which felt like a slap in the face. I'd been the one who made our group logo in Canva after all. I've been replaying that night over and over, sitting on my couch with a glass of cheap Pinot, staring at my bookshelf full of dog-eared fantasy novels. I miss vinyl and verse. The way the light filters through the dusty windows, the smell of vinyl and coffee, even Ben's pretentious rants. The Lit Lounge was my escape from client deadlines and Zoom meetings. But I also feel like I was drowning in those mysteries, like my love for books was being smothered by endless cliches. I tried to compromise, I really did, but I couldn't keep pretending I was enjoying myself. Now I'm wondering if I came off as a snob, like I think I'm better than them just because I like different genres. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just wanted to read something that lit my brain on fire. So, Reddit AITA for quitting my book club over their boring mystery picks, even if it made me look like a pretentious jerk. AITA for asking my roommate not to touch my books on the shelf, even though he thinks I'm too obsessed and now things are super awkward between us. I'm still kind of frazzled, so let me just get this off my chest. I'm a 25-year-old grad student studying anthropology, and I've got a thing for books, specifically old, obscure anthropology texts and folklore collections. My tiny bedroom in our shared apartment looks like a mini library exploded. Floor-to-ceiling shelves I built myself out of IKEA crates, fairy lights draped over the top, and stacks of books I've color-coded by region, blue for Africa, red for South America, you get the idea. I've got first editions of stuff like The Golden Bough and a tattered copy of Folktales of the Amhara I found at a thrift store for $5. These books aren't just reading material, they're my happy place. I'll spend hours reorganizing them, running my fingers over the cracked spines, and yeah, maybe I sniff the pages sometimes, don't judge me. My roommate Sam is 26 and a total bro. He's a personal trainer who's always blasting EDM from his Bluetooth speaker and making protein shakes at 6 a.m. We met through a mutual friend when I needed a place to crash last year, and we get along fine, mostly. Our apartment's a quirky setup. It's above a 24-hour laundromat called Suds and Spin, so there's this constant hum of washing machines and the faint smell of detergent in the air. We've got a small living room with a Saga couch, a TV Sam uses for his Xbox, and my bookshelf, which takes up one whole wall. I've always told Sam the shelf is off limits, it's my space, my rules. He's got his gym gear in the corner, I don't mess with his dumbbells, right? Sam's not a reader. The only book I've seen him touch is a dog-eared men's health magazine he leaves in the bathroom. So I didn't think it'd be an issue. But a few weeks ago I started noticing my books were off. My copy of Myths of the Cherokee was upside down. A biography on Margaret Mead had a bent page corner. I never bend pages, I use bookmarks like a civilized person. I brushed it off at first, thinking maybe I'd been distracted while shelving, but then I caught Sam red-handed. I came home from a late study session, my backpack still slung over one shoulder, and there he was, standing by my shelf, flipping through the Trickster in West Africa with his protein shake sticky hands. I froze, my keys still in the door, and blurted, "Dude, can you not touch my books? I've told you they're off limits." He looked up, eyebrows raised, and put the book back, upside down, by the way. "Chill, man, I was just looking. You've got a whole library here, what's the big deal?" I tried to keep my cool, but my voice got tight. The big deal is they're mine, and I don't want anyone messing with them. You've already been a page, and your hands are gross. He laughed, wiping his hands on his gym shorts, and said, "You're way too obsessed with these things. They're just books, not the holy grail. Live a little." I felt my face heat up. "They're important to me, okay? Just respect that." He shrugged, muttered, "Whatever, dude," and went back to his Xbox, but the vibe in the room was icy. Things got weirder after that. The next day, I noticed a few more books out of place. My system was all wrong, like someone had pulled them out and shoved them back randomly. I confronted Sam again, this time in the kitchen while he was blending a smoothie so loud it drowned out the laundromat noise. Sam, seriously, stop touching my books. I'm not kidding. He turned off the blender, leaned against the counter, and gave me this look, like I was some uptight librarian stereotype. You need to relax. You're acting like I'm burning them or something. I was just curious. Maybe if you weren't so obsessed, you'd have some fun for once. That stung. I snapped back, maybe if you respected my stuff, we wouldn't have a problem. He rolled his eyes, grabbed his smoothie, and walked off, leaving me fuming by the sink. Now it's been a week and the apartment feels like a Cold War zone. Sam's been giving me the silent treatment, only breaking it to make passive-aggressive jabs. Yesterday he said, I'm having some gym buds over, hope your books don't get too stressed out, with the smirk that made me want to scream. I've started locking my bedroom door when I leave, which I've never had to do before, and I even caught myself Googling how to booby-trap a bookshelf at 2 a.m. I didn't do it, but I was tempted. My friend Jenna, who I vented to over coffee, says I might be overreacting and that I should just let Sam borrow a book to build trust. But the thought of his sticky hands on my golden bough makes me nauseous. I get that he thinks I'm being extra, but these books are my sanctuary, some of them are irreplaceable, and I've spent years hunting them down. I'm starting to wonder if I'm the problem here. Maybe I am too protective, and I should have just let him look at a less precious book instead of making it a whole thing. But I also feel like he's not respecting my boundaries, and his obsessed comment hit harder than I'd like to admit. Now I'm tiptoeing around my own apartment, listening to the laundromat hum below and wondering if I've turned into the uptight roommate I never wanted to be. So, Reddit, AITA for asking Sam not to touch my books, even if he thinks I'm taking it too far? AITA for not recommending a book to my coworker because she never reads, even though she called me arrogant and now our whole team is giving me the side eye? I'm still kinda worked up about this, so let me just spill it all. I'm a 28-year-old copywriter at a small marketing agency and I'm the resident bookworm. My desk is a chaotic shrine to literature stacked with dog-eared novels, a mini succulent I keep forgetting to water, and a chipped mug that says I'd rather be reading. I'm always sneaking in a few pages during lunch, usually some literary fiction or a deep-dive memoir that makes me feel like I'm peering into someone's soul. Our office is in this converted warehouse space called the loft, with exposed brick walls, a communal ping-pong table, and a coffee machine that's always broken. We're a tight-knit team of 10, and we've got this tradition called Friday Finds, where we share random recommendations, could be a podcast, a recipe, or, in my case, usually a book. My coworker, Jess, is 32 and the office's social butterfly. She's the one who organizes our happy hours and always has the best TikTok dance moves during team outings. She's got this loud laugh that bounces off the brick walls, and she's constantly scrolling her phone, showing us viral videos of cats or influencers doing dumb challenges. Jess is great, but she's never been into books. Like ever. I've heard her say a million times, I'd rather watch the movie or reading's not my thing, I get bored. Once, during a team lunch at the taco truck outside, she laughed and said, I haven't read a book since high school and I'm doing just fine. I didn't judge her for it, people like different things, right? She's more into her Netflix binges and I'm cool with that. Last Friday, we're all gathered around the ping-pong table for Friday Finds, passing around a bag of kettle chips while Theo, our graphic designer with a man bun, raves about some true crime podcast. I just finished The Paper Palace by Miranda Cowley Heller, a gorgeous, messy novel about family secrets and a love triangle that had me up until 3 a.m. crying into my pillow. When it was my turn, I held up the book, its cover all crinkled from my grip, and said, if anyone wants a read that'll wreck you emotionally, this is it. It's so beautifully written, but fair warning, it'll break your heart. Everyone nodded, and our project manager, Lila, said she'd add it to her list. Then Jess piped up, leaning back in her chair with her phone still in hand. Ooh, that sounds good. Can you lend it to me? I need something new to try. I froze, the book still in my hands. I glanced at her, then at the table, trying to figure out how to say this without sounding like a jerk. I don't know, Jess, I started, rubbing the back of my neck. You've said you don't really read, so I didn't think you'd be into it. Maybe you'd like the audiobook instead? Or I can recommend a show if you'd rather watch something. Her face changed instantly, like I'd just insulted her entire existence. She sat up straight, her nails tapping on her phone case, and said, wow, so you're just assuming I can't handle a book? That's pretty arrogant. I blinked, caught off guard. No, I just meant, you've said you don't like reading, so I didn't want to push something on you that you might not enjoy. But she wasn't having it. She scoffed, crossed her arms, and said, maybe I wanted to start reading, but I guess I'm not good enough for your fancy books. The room got quiet, except for the faint hum of the broken coffee machine in the corner. Theo coughed awkwardly into his sleeve and Lila started fidgeting with her notebook. Our intern, Max, who's usually glued to his laptop, looked up and muttered, "Yikes." I tried to backtrack, saying I didn't mean it like that, I just thought you'd prefer something else. I can totally recommend a book if you want. But Jess just shook her head, grabbed her chips, and walked back to her desk, muttering, "Don't bother." The rest of Friday Finds was a bust, everyone was too uncomfortable to keep sharing, and we wrapped up early. Since then, the office vibe has been off. Jess has been cold, barely saying hi when we pass each other by the water cooler. I overheard her telling Lila at lunch yesterday I just wanted to try something new, but apparently I'm too dumb for her books. Lila didn't say much, but she gave me this disappointed look later, like I'd let the team down. Theo, who I usually chat with about indie novels, told me I should have just lent her the book to keep the peace. Even Max, who never gets involved in drama, posted a meme in our Slack channel, a cartoon of a snooty librarian with the caption, "When you gatekeep your hobbies." It got 3 laugh reacts, including one from Jess. I felt my stomach drop when I saw it. I've been replaying that moment over and over, sitting at my desk with my headphones on, pretending to work while I stare at the paper palace on my shelf. I didn't mean to come off as arrogant, I genuinely thought I was being considerate by not pushing a book on someone who's never shown interest in reading. I even looked up the audiobook version on Audible to send her the link, but when I messaged her, she left me on read. Part of me feels like she's overreacting, but I'm also wondering if I misjudged the situation. Maybe I should have just handed her the book and let her figure out if she liked it or not. Now I'm avoiding the ping-pong table during breaks, sipping my coffee alone, and wondering if I've turned into the office snob without realizing it. So Reddit, AITA for not recommending a book to Jess because she never reads, even if it made her feel judged?